Hey everyone, if you're just like me and you spend a lot of time with coding tools, you open up one terminal on the left just for Claude Code and another terminal on the right for Codex, and you switch between both of them as you're working on your project. But if you're also like me, I'm actually working on a multiplayer game. And for me to be able to do something like this, where I'm actually playing with two different clients on a server, I not only have to run things like npm run dev on my client, but I also need to run this for my server as well. And this pretty soon gets your editor cluttered up. Now, one of the solutions that you might have come across is using something like Cmux or Ghostty. But I'll be honest with you, oftentimes I miss my code editor as well, because having a file explorer is immensely useful to navigate around your codebase. Wouldn't it be great if you could take the best of what Cmux or Ghostty had to offer and combine it with your cursors and VS Codes of the world? In today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to show you. I've been using Warp extensively over the past couple of weeks as I've been working on this multiplayer game, and I've been able to set it up such that I'm able to have Codex, Claude Code, and all of the background services running all within a single agentic development environment. It integrates natively with any agent that you're using, whether it's Codex, OpenCode, or Claude Code. And in today's video, I'll be going through a whole bunch of features that will seriously enhance your development workflow. For example, you can code review things and send it straight into the context of your chosen agent. The notification system is great, especially when you're jumping between different projects. And yes, it also comes with an inbuilt file explorer as well. So if you ever wanted a single environment that allows you to manage all of your agents, to context switch, multitask, and maximize your productivity, this video is for you. All right, so the very first thing that I'm going to be covering is my usual workflow prior to utilizing some of the new features for Warp. The main thing to highlight is that I make use of several tools at the same time. For example, I make use of Claude as well as OpenAI's models at the same time as part of my workflow, which has really revolved around these 5 tools over here. So the first one is Cmux. Cmux is actually a wrapper on top of Ghostty, but it has a few nice other things as well. For example, over here, we have these vertical tabs that allows you to group all of your windows per project. So you can see this is my Vibe Gen 2 project. And the main things that I want to highlight is that I have both the Codex running and Claude Code running. And this allows me to make use of both of them at the same time. And the other two things that you can see over here, I run Yazi, which is my file system. And this allows me to very quickly look into things, for example, this art asset that we have over here of this samurai punching. And this is actually an AI generated art that I'm using as part of my game. And then over here, I'm using something called LazyGit. It's just really useful to see the status of your version control, your commits. And this has been working very well for me for a very long time. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of times I find myself jumping into Visual Studio Code because I need a file editor, right? For example, if I go into and I want to adjust my Claude file, sometimes it's just a lot easier to do Command P, find my index.json file. All right, this editor that you see over here requires you to know how to use Vim or NeoVim, which not everybody is very familiar with, right? Because you need to know all your little commands that you have over here. And LazyGit over here is great. You still have to be able to understand how to navigate around. But let me just very quickly show you another pain point. So for example, now I'm working on a game, okay? And this requires me to not just be making code changes, but I also need to be running the game most of the time. This is the game that I've been working on. And for me to be able to have this running, I need to be able to go into the terminal, run Python -m http.server -d dot, and this allows me to play the single player version of the game. But however, most recently, I've also made this game multiplayer, and this means I actually need to do a bunch of other things. So first of all, I'm using convex as my database, so I do npx convex dev. But now the other thing that I've done is I made real-time multiplayer as well. I'm using something called colyseus, and now I have to open up yet another terminal, and I have to do npm run dev. And with all of these 3 runnings, I am now able to play a multiplayer game. So let me just show you over here. I'm going to open a second client, and you can see the player on the right and the player on the left are now fully synchronized. In my previous videos, I actually covered how I got from idea all the way to this stage, including how I implemented multiplayer. So you should check out my other videos if you want to learn more about how I got here. But immediately you see, right, I'm running out of real estate on my screen, and there are so many different things that I need to be doing. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to be like, wait a minute, Chong-U, you can actually run background processes within Codex and Claude Code. That's great. But I don't really like to do that because it's always hidden within the status bar. And I sometimes forget that I'm running them. I like to be able to look at my statuses and my logs over here. You can see this is my Visual Studio Code view. And sometimes I do run things in the terminal view over here because I would have access to my file explorer, and then I'll be able to And then I'm able to go through my file explorer and I'm able to edit my files as well. So how great would it be if I could just get everything that I just described to you into a single application? And that's exactly what Warp has done. And if you have not used Warp before, I'm going to give you a really quick introduction. I like to call Warp an agentic operating system. I'm now started a new Warp terminal, and within it, I can do everything you expect from a terminal application. I can do ls, I can go into the server, and then I can just run npm run dev. And so this will try to start the colyseus server as well. And basically, I have access to everything that is going on within the terminal. But the nice thing over here, as you can see, is that you have agentic capabilities built into the terminal and the operating system as well. So you can see here, right? It says, rather than you having to figure out why this is running, why this address is in use. And let's be honest, nobody remembers how to kill the processes of a running server all the time. You just ask your AI to do it. It actually has a lot of smart features. So right now you can just click here and it will kill the process and restart the server. And now it's got that command that we always never remember. And then it's even done the things to check that it has indeed been killed. And then after it kills the process and then it restarts the server. And you see it over here gives you a nice commentary as well. Right, as you can see, it says that it sees that it has started successfully, the server is running, and everything is working fine right now. And this is the reason why Warp is extremely useful, because having all of these agentic and smart features integrated into it just supercharges your workflow. And the best part is that you can actually switch between a lot of the different models. It's built right into Warp. And for example, even the latest Opus 4.7 is in there, and there's even a 50% off promotion going on right now. So this is the reason why Warp has been very popular. But the main thing I wanted to cover today is the latest release that they have just done last week. And what they've done is taken the feedback from the developer community, from the power users, to focus on the developer experience. These changes that they've done here have really made Warp a game-changing experience. And it's not just a sentiment that I have. Many people who have given feedback about it have noticed these changes and have said these indeed are going to be able to move the needle. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to run through the key new features that they have introduced just last week as part of their latest release that has really supercharged my own workflow and effectively allows me to attain everything that I covered as my use case earlier in the video, but using a single application, and that is Warp. All right, so let's just get into it, and I'll go through every single one of them so you can see why it's seriously a game changer. All right, so let's just look at the first big thing, and it doesn't sound like a lot when you look at it because it says vertical tabs, but it's a lot more than that. Let me just show it to you. Now within Warp, you have this vertical tab on the left, and this is very inspired by what we saw with Cmux over here. However, Warp has taken this a step further, and I think that they've really focused a lot on the developer experience. Okay, so now the first thing to look at is that over here, you're going to be able to group all of your tabs by your projects, and you can do so in any way that you want. You can see I have 3 main projects that I've been working on. I'm going to focus on what we're doing with Vibe Jam 2 over here. Now, I can really easily switch between the tabs using the usual hotkeys that we are familiar with. So if you've used Ghostty, this will be very familiar to you. And the other thing is that I can split my windows very easily. So you can see I have a Codex session running over here, and then I have a Claude Code session running below. And that's how I like to do it. I like to have both running at the same time. I can split the window using Command D, split the window vertically. So very familiar hotkeys. But the thing that we have over here is that you will notice that the icons have popped out. And now we have icons matching the applications that we're running and the agents that we're running. And this is really a nice touch because oftentimes, if you look at something like Cmux, there's no easy way to see what's running over here versus what's running over here. But within Warp, I'm able to see which of these windows corresponds to the agent that I'm working. And it's just these little things just make things a lot better. I can just go in here, I can rename my tab. So I'd like to group them by project now. So now I know that for this project, I have my Codex session, and then I have my Claude Code session below as well. Now, remember the issue that I showed you earlier where I effectively had no real estate left, all right, as part of my project. Now, the great thing is you can see that I'm able to just jump into this split pane that I set up over here. And what I do is that I have my local client running. So now I can just jump into here. Now I like to keep my client running at the top, and you can see because I'm using Warp's agentic capabilities and it has good context and awareness, it has auto-completed this for me. And then over here, I'm in the server, I do npx convex dev. And then over here, I do npm run dev for my colyseus server. Now I can just switch between my coding session and then move into kind of my DevOps session very quickly. And this is all running This means I can now just jump into my game very quickly, test everything, and I will also have access to the logs that are running for both my convex database as well as my running colyseus server and my front end as well. And this is just really useful to be able to have all in one screen. Okay, so that covers the first feature, and it's nothing too revolutionary, but it's just an evolution of how people like to work with multiple agents within the terminal. And I think that this in itself has already made switching over from using something like Cmux over into Warp a breeze and such a joy to use. Okay, so that's the first thing that we have over here. But now let's move on to the second thing. And I'm telling you, this is the number one thing that I've been asking about whenever I try any agentic application. I need a file explorer. And if you recall, I previously did this by using something called Yazi. But you can see there's a few problems with this. So I'm going to close these windows over here and I'll show you the problem right away. Okay, so you can see this is the file explorer, but a lot of times I need to be jumping into these files and editing them as well. So even though I have a great preview over here, the problem here is that if I want to edit it, I have to go into Vim, and I'm fairly comfortable with Vim, but sometimes I just want to be able to make a change and be able to Command P and swap around and jump around from different files. And I just wish if somebody could just take the VS Code File Explorer experience and then put it into a terminal, that would complete the entire experience. And that's exactly what has done. All right, so let me show you here. So now I'm over here and just say I need to make a modification to one of my files, right? I can just do Control-2 and boom, I've got my file explorer over here. And this is a fully rich file explorer. So you can see I can just jump into my index.json and it shows up over here. I can edit it directly. But the other thing that I always like to do is I like to be able to say, jump to my README file and have this rendered with a proper preview rather than dealing with the raw files. And having this built right into Warp is just so handy for me. Previously, if I wanted to do this, I would have to jump into VS Code, do Command-Shift-P, do Markdown, and do Open Preview, and have this preview over here, and drag this to the corner, just to have it side by side. And yeah, it's useful to have this like this way, but this is just integrated directly into Warp itself, and has just made life a lot easier for me. All right, so this File Explorer, I can't believe that it's still missing from a lot of these other agentic programs as well. This is, for me, one of the most important things, and for me, has made my workflows so much better. All right, so that's the File Explorer. Now, the other thing that I want to demonstrate to you over here is notifications. Now, I think the best way to show this to you is by actually showing you my workflow. All right, so let's just see. I'm going to do this live, so I don't know how this is going to turn out, but let me just show you what I tend to do over here. So you can see I have Codex running at the top, and then I have Claude running at the bottom. Now, most recently, I was doing something where I was trying to show up for the game. So I've deployed my game live running on the web. One of the things that I've been doing is to collect stats of the number of people who've been playing, who is the best player, with the choices that people have made. And as you can see, this was posted last week. I like to use Claude for something like this, and these are all image generated. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to run the exact command that I ran and then ask it to generate these new images and infographics for me. So I'm going to kick this off. Now within Codex, I like to use Codex mainly for coding tasks, and I leave Claude for more design related tasks. And so in Codex, I'm going to say, I want to keep track of scores in single player. All right, the number of minions defeated, and I also want a timer of elapsed time as well. I kick both off and keep it running. There are more advanced workflows that you can make use of, making use of sub-agents, / commands, but a very typical, I'm at my desk, I need to make changes to the game or to my applications. This is just generally what I like to do. And remember, because of these vertical tabs, I can swap between projects as well. So in this case, I can switch into a project I'm working on, which is my Builder Pack AI website. So I'm going to just do something here that summarize the changes that have been made. All right. So this is my overall workflow. This is really important in the age of AI, right? You're not just sitting there working one project, one agent at a time. Oftentimes you're going to be working on different projects and different agents. And now you can see over here, I've gotten a notification from Codex. So I'm going to click on it and you can see it just brought me straight into this session that I have within this project over here. And this is extremely useful for me, especially when I'm working across these multiple projects with different contexts. And you'll be able to get hold of your notifications over here as well. So you can see a history of the different things, of whether you missed something. And this, in my opinion, is a bit better than the notifications that we have in Cmux. It oftentimes, it just tells you that it's waiting for your input. In this case, you will see that the notifications are a lot richer. They actually tell you a summary of what's been going on. And I feel like that brings an additional set of context, because oftentimes I'm working with different projects and I look at this and I'm like, oh, Claude is waiting for my input. I completely forgotten what I was doing there. Whereas over here, you can see it did something within the main level. I can just hover over it and I'll be like, oh yeah, all right. I can see that elapsed time is now showing up within the game. All right, I'm going to very quickly jump into the game and I'm going to just refresh it. And then let's just take a look at this change that has been made. And there you go. You can see that the stats in the top left-hand corner are there. And then now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to 2, 3. Okay, and great. The minions count has increased and then the time elapsed has completed as well. Perfect. So now you can see, right, being able to work like this with the notification system is really useful. It allows you to context switch and multitask at the same time. And it's something that you don't really notice until you start using Warp quite a bit. And then you'll be like, oh, this has been really useful to be able to get a context. And now let me just show you the case over here. The version 3 of the stats is done. So you can see 129 dual spot. Now, I want to check out these files, right? And how do I do so? I can click on this and it opens up the stats for me over here. Oh, this player has actually won 15 times now. That's really cool. And then I can see over here, okay, so a lot of people are liking the katana. And this is the person that has beaten the player the most number of times. And like I said, if you wanted to, you could also just use the file explorer, jump into this. And this is why I really like having a file explorer within my environment itself, because I can just very quickly jump into it. I can see last time was 60 and I've more than doubled the number of duels right now. So that's the notifications and revisiting a bit of the overall workflow. Now, let me just show you the other feature that we have over here. And this really replaces the code review and the version control panel. Now, you can see I made quite a bit of changes, right? Both in what's happened with Codex as well as what's happened with Claude Code. So this review panel over here, which you can also access with Command-Shift+, right, gives you a code review panel. And immediately you can just see what's the delta between what you had earlier and what's present. And this is really useful for me because I can immediately scroll through. You can see this is to do with the number of minions defeated, the start time, and the elapsed time. And this is everything that was needed to make these changes. All right. It's just really useful to have. I don't have to go into Visual Studio Code and then look at this. It's like having this view straight away over here. But within Warp, it's just a much nicer interface. And here's the killer thing, right? So for example, like this name run HUD width and run HUD height. It just doesn't sound right. So I can just add a comment here and say run is very unintuitive as a constant name switching. And I can just comment on it over here and I can just send this to the engine now. And you can see this is tied in straight into your running session. So it actually says, please address the following code review commits, run git diff to see the full context of any changes. So you can see the code that I've reviewed is now sent straight into Codex. And this allows me to make the changes. And this is just a really killer workflow. So rather than copy and pasting lines or trying to reference the lines, being able to just look at lines here and say something just looks a bit odd. This is a bit more advanced. In a lot of cases, people don't really review their code nowadays. If you are taking vibe coding seriously, you will know that you should be looking at what's being generated. At least sometimes you will know that performing writing tests and doing a review of what the agent is doing is very important. And this code review workflow is really powerful for being able to do that. It's all in one. And I would say that this is one of the other killer features that makes Warp so amazing. And I just want to emphasize once again, you will see that a lot of these changes are not revolutionary changes. They're just taking the workflow of a user, especially power users, and making their lives better. There's no smart AI thing going on over here. It's just all about workflow. And I think the Warp team have really done this very well and focus on the developer experience. And I think this really moves the needle. So now that this has been done, you can see that the changes have been made. And now I'm going to jump into my game again. I'm going to use a different character this time. And you can see the game is still running perfectly and there are no problems. The code review and the changes that I asked for have passed and everything is working correctly. All right, so everything that I've covered today, I hope it has really demonstrated to you why Warp has really knocked it out of the park with its latest update. I think anybody that has been using agentic programming, especially the tools and the workflows that are similar to mine, will really benefit a lot from giving Warp a shot. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Definitely give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on notifications so that you'll always be the first to know when new content like this drops. And if you want to check out my previous videos where I covered the other aspects of Warp, including its Cloud Agent functionality, which supercharges and multiplies and parallelizes your workflow, which allows you to effectively be away from your computer and allow Warp to do things autonomously, check out this video right over here. All right, so till next time, I'll be seeing you.